This is a difficult video to make, but I need to talk about it. It's about triage. If you're not familiar with the concept, it's usually in a medical context. It's how medics prioritize patients. But it's also something that we're having to practice as activists because there are so many insane things happening simultaneously. Which will we give our time to? And then there's another level. I've decided that fundraising for families in Gaza is a priority. But which ones? So it's triage again. The first type is pretty simple. We can move those campaigns that have not received very many donations yet, or in some cases any donations yet, to the front of the line. The second type is more intense. Like I said, traditionally triage is when a nurse, medic, or doctor receives patients. They each need help. But if one person has a broken arm and another person has a concussion and someone else has a gunshot wound and the fourth person has just gotten a foot blown off, regardless of what order they entered the clinic or the hospital, or in Gaza's case maybe just a medical tent, that fourth person and the third person are going to be treated first before they bleed out and die. They might need to be cauterized or bandaged tightly. And I know that the injuries I just listed are brutal, and that's because those are the types of injuries being sustained on a daily basis in Gaza. Likewise, families with serious illness or injury need the support from us most urgently because they might not be able to generate any income at all or even go out to collect food if it's available as aid, or they need extra funds for medications. I say all of this because I've struggled throughout the Gaza genocide with deciding which families to support. Far more reach out to me than I can help with a small following. They all need it and they all deserve it, but I'm starting to realize that as hard as it is, I have to give a little more thought to this process. If someone is young and able-bodied and is currently able to get enough food, although when I say enough, it doesn't really mean enough. They're not getting all the different nutrition they need, fresh fruits and vegetables and more. But let's say they're getting enough bread and lentils, enough calories. They're not starving to death, then I can go to the next. And that especially means families in underserved areas where there may not be food kitchens, and where families who are starving with injuries. It's an impossible choice, but it still has to be made. There's a new term that doctors have had to come up with during this Gaza genocide. WCNSF. That's Wounded Child No Surviving Family. An injured orphan child would seem like the obvious first priority, but tragically they usually don't have a fundraiser because they don't have a phone, much less social media, and the ability to communicate with us outside to try to create a campaign or raise money. So then we have sick or injured adults, or parents with sick or injured children, like Mom Dua, who I told you about in my last video. He's in a lot of pain. Honestly, I don't know if he's getting any sleep. Every time I write to him, no matter if it's in the evening or the middle of the night or 3 a.m. because of the time zone difference, he's awake. And his children are also suffering off and on from health conditions. His son has bone infections, his little daughter has been sick. So again, please, if you have the capacity to give. And if you don't, share one of my posts about him to your stories with a link. Other than that, having already put out gentle invitations many times, I'm just going to say it. Those of you who are sitting this out and not hosting or posting for even one person or family, leave those of us who are in this overwhelmed position of triage because we have 10 or more running and hundreds more people reaching out to us to ask for help because so many people turn them away or ignore them. There are more than 300 million adults in the US and UK who could host fundraisers on these platforms. There should not be any trouble in having less than 500,000 campaigns covered, which is about the number of families in Gaza. That's 1 out of every 600 adults in US and UK. Please be one of those people. Really, there should be no trouble having 1.5 million fundraisers, which would be about 1 for every person surviving in Gaza. And if those of us doing this work sound overwhelmed and that's off-putting to you, just realize that the reason we're overwhelmed is because we're trying to pick up the slack for people not doing anything. And when we work day jobs, just like you do, it can be overwhelming to try to do fundraisers and transfers and videos for a number of families while also doing advocacy and political work. But to do just one, you could literally spend 10 minutes once per month to bounce the money from the campaign through PayPal to them. If you can spend more time crafting some posts to help them raise donations, great. If you can be available to them to communicate with during the month, great. But the bottom line is, if you would just host a campaign and do nothing but transfer it once a month, you could save someone's life, and I don't understand how that's too much to ask. You don't need extra money, it won't cost you anything, you don't need any special skills. We have got to collectively break out of the bubble of this American narcissism that has us sitting on our hands while these people die. So if this is something you're willing to do, please reach out and myself or another fundraiser will connect you with a family or an individual in Gaza and show you how to get set up. It really is simple enough. Thank you. And as always, free Palestine. But people need to be alive to achieve liberation. So right now, help us feed Palestine. Thank you.